Next, we have question 3. State 2 ways in which genetic variation occurs in living organisms. Genetic variation could occur via two main ways. So you have the process of meiosis or mutations. Meiosis, if you could recall, is one of two ways in which our cells divide. We have mitosis and we have meiosis. Mitosis is where our body cells or normal body cells, somatic cells, um, they divide to make clones or copies of themselves, whereas the process of meiosis is what results in the formation of our sex cells, the egg and the sperm. Or if we're talking about plants, that would be the pollen and the egg or the ovum. Now, the difference is with the process of meiosis, our chromosome number is halved. So instead of having 46 chromosomes, you have 23, and you'll have 23 in the egg, 23 in the sperm. So when that process of fertilization takes place, then you get the complete set of 46 for that new baby or that new organism, human being in this case, that will be formed. So through the process of meiosis, you have two stages, basically, or two um, what you call is two activities that takes place during the process that will allow for genetic variation to take place, and that is recombination. Recombination being where arms of the chromatids switch. So you don't know what is being switched between the maternal and the paternal chromosomes, and then you have crossing over being where they are pulled to either side of the cell before that splitting phase takes place, um, which will result in the new cell being formed. And mutations is any change, even if it's a slight change in the DNA sequence. So that will result in genetic variation because now that it is changed, something else, example for if we're talking about proteins, another protein or another type of protein will be formed because of that change. B. So complete the following paragraph by inserting the correct word from the list of words provided below. So you have these 8 words here, and we have to choose 4 from this set that will fit in. So the process where organisms with favorable traits are more likely to reproduce is called natural selection. And these traits are passed to the next generation. Now, over time, this process allows organisms to adapt to their environment. So, favorable traits are natural selection. It's basically if the organism doesn't have a trait that makes it favorable or makes it adapt or makes it able to survive in the environment it is in, then most likely it is going to be eaten or it wouldn't live to the point of being able to reproduce, thus not being able to pass on its genes that are considered to be unfavorable. So this is natural selection, where only the fittest or only the ones that are able to adapt to the changes in the environment will be able to pass on their genes to, as it says here, to the next generation. So now we move on to part C. So figure 4 shows a picture of 5 children with different characteristics. 1. Identify 2 examples of continuous variation that can be observed in figure 4. To be able to identify this, we first need to be able to recall what is continuous variation. So when it comes to variation, we have 2 types. You have continuous and discontinuous variation. I simply put it in the way that discontinuous variation is something that you cannot count. So you can't put it to a scale. It's either yes or no, or is it present or is it not present. Whereas continuous variation could be put on a scale. So it's not a set thing as in yes or no. It has range. So for example, height is one of the things that we can put here as an example, and height being a continuous or a type of continuous variation. What that means is, for example, if we are looking at the heights of persons in a classroom, multiple persons could be within that range of 173 centimeters tall. But it ranges in a sense that it's not just 173 and 163, and that's the only heights that are available. You'll have all in between. So you have 173.1, point 2, etc. So it ranges. It can be put to a scale and measured. You also have skin color. Skin color is not just black or white, there are many shades in between. So that is also something that is over a range. And then you have hair length. Hair length is also something that goes with a range. It's not just two categories. Next, identify the example of discontinuous variation. So discontinuous variation here, looking at this picture, especially with it being in black and white, what could we visibly see from this image? What we can see is gender. Gender isn't a range. Gender is male or female. So you can see that here. Yes or no? Do you fall under male? Do you fall under female? Next, you have eye shape. So the shape of somebody's eye, is it almond or what, round? If that's a next category, it could fall under. But it is either you fall in this category or you fall in the next category. It's not a range as it is with with continuous variation. Then part D brings in a little bit with antibiotics. So we're talking about health. So one, the table below shows two scenarios. For each scenario in the table, use a tick to show whether antibiotics could be used. So give one reason for each response. So the scenario is that Ravi contracted influenza at school. Did he use antibiotics? The answer is no. The reason is simply because antibiotics is used to treat bacterial infections. Influenza is not caused by a bacteria, but it is a type of virus. So that's your reason. It's a virus. Simple. And then the second scenario, Mitch has been diagnosed with syphilis. Could Mitch use antibiotics? Yes. Why can Mitch use antibiotics? Because syphilis is caused by a bacterium. Part 2. Explain why the misuse of antibiotics is a dangerous practice. The simple answer for this is that misuse of antibiotics leads to the evolution of antibiotic resistant bacteria. So if the bacteria becomes resistant to that particular antibiotics, then it makes it harder to get rid of it or to cure the person from whatever illness that they may have. So this is why if you went to the hospital and you got antibiotics to take, and they told you it's a course of 7 days, and they say make sure and take it for the 7 days, even if before that seventh day you feel better. Being honest, I know some of us would stop taking it because by the third day maybe we're feeling a lot better. So it's like, I don't need to take any medicine. But you have to, or you should, because of this here. You do not want um, any sort of resistance or anything with the bacteria being able to now withstand the effects of the antibiotic medication. So that is it for this question.